Here too. All right, it says we're streaming live. Check it out. Yep, that's good. Cool. All right, welcome, my silent team, guys. People on Zoom, people both in Facebook. Excited to have you guys. We're going to get started here in just a minute and get people on Facebook a chance to hop on. I know you just had an awesome time with Lisa Morrison Larson. She is awesome. I didn't get to watch it tonight. I'm sure it was entertaining. It always is. She and Maddie have a blast. Maddie's her daughter. Okay.
Are you live in
We
both
are live.
groups?
We're live in MST and we're live in we're on Zoom. So
Cool.
Yep. Cool. Guys, I have I'll stop sharing for a second. It makes you guys know Abe, but so guys, this is Abe Ortolani. He's Jim Cockram's the leader of the coaching program for Private Label. I've known him for a couple of years now. He started with Private Label the easy way and has just taken it to a whole other level. And he is our resident expert on what he calls data mining. He's just really, really good at validating on the front end for private label products. Just does a tremendous job. He's a PPC expert, pay-per-click expert with Amazon sponsored ads, and just brings a ton of content and value to our private label group. And just an honor to have you on here tonight with me to talk about ASD and how to go. If you want to go to ASD, what you can do, and if you want to sit at home in your pajamas and source, you can still do that. So, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, whether you're going there or not, it works both ways.
It does.
Thanks for the high praise there. That was a pretty sweet introduction. I'll take it.
Well, it's I mean it. I mean every word of it. You're a good friend, and it's just you do a lot for my group and for my and Jenny's group, and so it means a lot that you.
It's where it all began.
You bring so much value to that group. So guys, we're going to jump in. I don't know. It shouldn't be real long of a webinar. Hopefully keep it under an hour here for you. But we're going to talk about how to attack a trade show. It's not just ASD. ASD is coming up next month, March 11th through the 14th. But these principles work for any trade show, whether it's in the U.S. or even outside the U.S. And so we're just going to talk about how to attack it specifically for private label purposes. But you'll probably, even if you do wholesale, you'll get something out of it for sure. But we're going to tell you guys how you can use trade shows, which have wholesale companies, as private label suppliers. I know that might sound odd. If you listen to the podcast that I did with Jim back last year, that will make sense to you. Or if you're in our private label group, you already know the angle of how we do that. But it's all about starting small. Jim is always preaching mile wide, inch deep, where nobody in this group ever says, hey, you guys need to go out and spend $5,000 and throw up a listing on Amazon and hope somebody buys it. Jim calls that lipstick on a pig marketing. That's not what we do around here. It's all about smaller tests, and making sure that the product works for you before you go more. And so, typically with private label, everybody is talking about, you source overseas, and absolutely nothing wrong with that. And Abe does that a lot now. And so, but he didn't start with buying 5,000 units. He started with a very small amount, testing it, make sure it works, and then you go, and invest more. And so that's kind of where we're coming from in our PPL 2.0 Facebook group that we have. That's the training. But we're specifically going to talk tonight about how to use trade shows for private label. So let's just jump right into it. I want to try to get through my stuff because Abe's got some stuff to share as well. I want to show you a little over the shoulder how to use ASD specifically, their site specifically, of how to find suppliers. Because we find in our group that people usually get stuck at one of two places. The first one is actually picking products, and the second one is finding a supplier for that product. And so if you're stuck at how to find suppliers, actually we're going to kind of touch both real quick. But if you're stuck on how to find suppliers, then a trade show site can be a great source. Going to trade shows, in my opinion, is even better because you get to meet folks. You could build those relationships. Abe has built so many relationships now because of going to ASD. He's found his sourcing agent there, and he'll tell you about that. But it's just all about relationships. And so if you can go, I think it's great to go at least once. And we'll tell you a little bit more about that. But guys, my favorite source to find suppliers is Google. And Google's, the main reason is just there's so much there. It's so easy just to type in, your item with wholesale on the end of it, to type in, your product with private label and do a search. And we talk all about that in the private label mentoring program. And there's tons of training there. If you're a part of the Proven Amazon course, the PPL 2.0 training is in the Proven Amazon course. It's under the next step section. Right underneath that, it says private label. And so we talk about how to use Google for finding suppliers. But guys, my second favorite source is trade shows. And it's just because you can find so many suppliers, so many vendors all in one place. It's just way more efficient. And you can come out with multiple leads. In fact, it can be really, really overwhelming. But we're going to show you how we're going to try to help you make it less overwhelming, especially if you're going to go. But trade shows are great. You just have so many places, so many people right under one roof that can be your private label source. All right, so why do I love trade shows? Abe likes them too, but the big reason I love to travel. For me, it's fun, especially when we can bookend of something on the front or on the end of the trip, like doing something, for recreational at the beginning or the end. A couple of years ago, my wife and I, before we had our son, we went to the Grand Canyon afterwards, and it was all a business expense because it was part of our trip to ASD. And the second I just said, there's tons of wholesale suppliers all in one place. This picture right here is just the bottom level of one of the wings of the Las Vegas Convention Center. And so this goes back way, way, way back there. I mean, Abe, that's a ton of walking, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And, one of the things I wanted to just mention too is when you talk about traveling to a trade show, you want to talk about return on investment for a business expense. A lot of people attend conferences, and I do too, where, you pay, a large sum of money to attend a conference and watch some presentation. But ASD is free. Hotels are cheap. Airfare is not too bad, right? You get to Las Vegas and talk about return on investment, meeting vendors and wholesalers and walking away with contacts you can actually order inventory from and actually grow your business on the spot. I mean, there's a lot of value there for me, and that's why I love trading.
It is. And the networking's cool too, because that's where you're going to be there. I'll get to hang out with you. Christy's going to be there. Who knows if Big Lance Wolf's going to come or not? He usually does, but just get to meet friends, and it's just fun. And there's so many networking events that happen as a result. A lot of people have meetups, and so it's just a fun place to come meet other sellers. Guys, here's the map of it. So the shot that I showed you was down here, the South Hall lower level. I think this is, they changed things around. I think this is still correct the way it is. Yeah, the electronics convenience store stuff. So this is huge. This is right on the ASD site, asdonline.com. Over here, we're going to spend a lot of time over here. When we do our walkthroughs up here, we'll spend a lot of time in the South Hall upper level. Abe and I don't probably spend, I don't know about Abe. I don't spend a lot of time in apparel, shoes, and fashion accessories, but maybe he does, and he may not admit it. But
I'll walk through once or twice. So it's a shortcut, check some things out.
But if that's your thing, then that's a great place to stop in and check out. They also have a cash and carry, which is really cool. So you guys can actually walk out with actual items. But typically the other things that are there, you're just buying, you're placing wholesale orders. So that's the map of it. But guys, what if you don't want to go? It's okay. Totally cool. The good news is that you really don't have to. You can go to ASD online and register. And I'm actually just going to show you really quickly. Before I do that, I want to talk about the 5-step test, because when I go over to ASD, I want to show you how to find a supplier. And then if you go on their site, how to pick a product based on some validation steps. So you guys who do retail arbitrage and online arbitrage, you have parameters that you use. You probably don't just go into a Walmart and say, oh, this looks cool, let's just buy these and throw them in your cart and hope they sell. You probably have an app that you use, maybe use the Amazon seller app, and you scan the barcodes and check out the bestseller rank and see if there's profit potential there for you. This is exactly what the 5-step test is for private label. It's just 5 steps or 5 parameters essentially that help you decide whether a product has private label potential or not. It's just a guideline. Some people in our group go way more and have more steps. Like Abe, for example, always make fun of him and say he has the 37-step test. But it works for him. And so it's just, we think that these are the 5 main things. You absolutely have to, at least for your first one, make these the 5 that you go by to determine at least the foundational level of whether a product has potential for private label. Let's go through that real quick here. Some of you guys in the private label group, this like the back of your hand. If you're not in the private label group, this might be new. And so let me just share it with you real fast. So these are just our parameters for private label. It used to be 7. We made it even simpler, and it's now 5. And so the first one is generic, non-brand driven. And so if you're walking through a trade show, you're looking at a catalog, you're looking through, suppliers on Google, one of the main things and the very first thing that you want to look at is generic, non-brand driven. So the question to ask is, how are customers searching for this item? So an example, and the silly example that they use in the private label group all the time is these coasters with my face on them. So Ryan's coasters versus coasters. So imagine, you've got a drink coaster right here that I have on my desk. If somebody's looking for coasters, they're probably not typing in a certain brand. They're just typing in drink coasters, just coasters, something like that. So what we mean by generic, non-brand driven is there's not a certain brand that drives the sales. People aren't looking for a specific brand for these types of products. Product, like it could be in package A versus package B, and company A, company B have the same item. And to the customer, it really doesn't make any difference. They don't care which one. They want the best quality. They want probably the least expensive one, but the brand is not what jumps out at them. As opposed to something like Nike shoes, where Nike's a very big major brand. People who are into running or into any type of sports or just shoes overall, if they want Nikes, they want Nikes. They don't want a knockoff version of it, or they're looking for Adidas or looking for Asics, something specific. You're not going to try to launch a shoe. That's just, you could, but the budget you'd have to try to compete against somebody like Nike or Adidas is just ridiculous. So we're looking for things that are generic, non-brand driven. So if it was shoe related, maybe it's shoelaces or something that just the brand doesn't matter. Another example would be like Home Basics toilet brush. Home Basics is Walmart's private label brand, but I guarantee nobody's going on Amazon and typing in Home Basics toilet brush. So they're just typing in toilet brush or any other type of, whatever search term people might be using for toilet brush, but they're not typing in a brand with it. The brand does not matter in something like this. So that's the type of items we're looking for. And we also want to make a distinction that a product may have a brand, but it's not necessarily brand driven. So if I decided to launch a brand of drink coasters and call them the Ryan Coasters, they're going to have a brand. They might be called Ryan's Coasters, but that doesn't mean it's brand driven. So brand driven means the brand is driving the sale. All right. The second thing, again, these are just main guidelines. If you find something that's oversized, that's cool as long as the margins are there. But typically especially for somebody's first entrance into private label, we suggest starting with something that's small, which is to stay under Amazon's oversized fees, which I believe is 18 inches on the longest side. So you want something smaller than that so you don't incur a bunch of fees. We suggest simple with not many moving parts. So things with parts tend to break, so we stay away from a lot of things with batteries or just things that are electronic. So simple stuff is what we suggest. The demand, we'll get into that here right now. So for the demand, we want to make sure that there's enough people that are buying the product. So here's what we use. We use tools for this. So these first 3, generic, non-brand driven, small, and simple with not many working or moving parts. Those are things that you could look at a product, you could look at a keyword, you could be walking up and down the aisles of ASD and validate products based on these 3 right away. Very easy to do. All right. But for demand and competition, the last 2 tests of the 5-step test, you need a tool. You need something that tells you estimated sales, how many people are actually buying these products. And so what we use, totally free, is Scope. So Scope is from Seller Labs. Our good friend Jeff Cohen is been around in our community. Also, I think Edward and Tyler Larson. They've been to actually they're Scope. That's right, Abe? They're in the same the same company.
Tyler Henderson and
Tyler Henderson. Yeah, Tyler Henderson. Sorry. But so Scope is a tool that and you guys are probably familiar with it. It's like Jungle Scout as well. It gives you, if you start typing in certain keywords on Amazon, you're going to come up with results on that first page. And so what Scope does is it just gives you a nice spreadsheet that shows you the products, the brand, the category of each item. Instead of going into each listing and finding all this data, it tells you right here on one spreadsheet. So for the demand test, we look at the estimated sales column, and I'll do this live real quick too on a couple products that I found from ASD vendors this afternoon. But for the estimated sales column, we want to add up the top 10 listings and add up each of the estimated sales, okay? And we want that number to add up to 750. And when I show you live, I'll do this. I'll do one or two real quick. But we want to add up each one of the lines for estimated sales, estimated monthly sales. We want that number to be 750. If it is, it passes the demand test. Now, guys, these are guidelines. And so once you do this several times, you do private label several times, you may decide, oh, I want that to be 1,500. I want that to be 1,000. That's fine. But at least for the threshold we teach, at least 750 sales. The last is competition. We want to make sure that we pick something that's not way too competitive, because if it's too competitive, you're going to have to spend a lot of money to get it in front of people. And so for that, again, we use Scope or Jungle Scout. Again, Scope, they have a free version you can use. It's sellerlabs.com/Scope. You want to look at the reviews column for competition, and we want to find 3 or 4 listings in the top 10 that have less than 50 reviews. Okay, again, 3 or 4 listings with less than 50 reviews out of the top 10. If we have that, then it passes, and then it would pass the competition test, and that means it passes the 5-step test. And in our mind, it's like, okay, that's worthy of a test on Amazon. Buy a few, don't go out and buy 5,000, buy 10 or 15. Send them in, see if it works, run some sponsored ads on them, get the real data from Amazon, decide if you want to move forward with it. So that's the competition test. So let me do real quick live over the shoulder. Abe, anything that do you want to jump in and say before Okay.
Nope, I think you got it.
All right, so guys, this is ASD Online. You have 24 days to go and register for it to be free. Please, if you have no intentions of going to ASD at all, but you want to source wholesale or private label products from their vendors, go ahead and register. If you're in the Proven Amazon course, I believe that book is still there called Trade Show No Show. And the strategy basically is to register for trade shows. And then you're going to start getting emails from companies that are in the niches that you pick. So when you register, you have to tell ASD, I'm interested in this category, this category, this category. And some of these vendors will start to email you, or you can email them and say, hey, I wasn't able to make it to the show. Really interested in your products. Actually, just follow what Teresa Rose just talked about in the Proven Wholesale Sourcing course. But add this as a potential supplier. So here's ASD. Even if you don't go, you can go to the vendor directory. So if you go to About the Show, go to Vendor Directory, it brings up this page right here. And there's 2,448 exhibitors. I was on this yesterday. Jenny and Abe did a webinar in the private label group, and I think it was 2,432. So they've added 16 new vendors in the last day that are going to be at ASD. So that's a crazy amount of vendors. What's really cool about that? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say there's usually about 3,000.
3,000?
Around 3,000 by the time the March show kicks off.
Man, that's awesome. So you guys, if you have any interest in certain products, you can actually type a keyword here. So let's say that you're interested in pencils. You type in pencils and hit search. There's an advanced search where you can pick categories that you're interested in and do searches based on categories, based on private label, based on drop shipping. And so all I did really quickly this afternoon was I went to the main exhibitor list. I scrolled down and I started looking these categories, and I thought, okay, probably not. I'm going to probably stay away from style and beauty. Not that you have to. I I got down to, and literally the first one I clicked on was a CeraWare right here. All right, I brought that page up. Here's what it looks like. Oops, let's see. All right, here's their ASD listing. They're actually in Dallas, so just right down the road from me. Mattel's even do private label and do drop shipping. But I clicked on their website. Here's what their website looks like. And it's a bunch of outdoor cooking products. And so here's exactly, guys, how you would reverse source this. You could have a VA do this. And this is some of the training Jenny and I did last night in our private label group. I did a whole reverse sourcing webinar. It was over an hour long. We want to do more because it was just so much fun and it was so easy. This is the exact same way that you guys who do online arbitrage, you know how to do this already. Just doing it for private label purposes. And so instead of looking at certain bestseller rank in a category or, and all the parameters you might use for online arbitrage, just run it through the validation steps of the 5-step test that I just went over. So to save time and so we can get Abe up to bat here, what I did was I just looked through some of these and I thought, okay, what's generic non-brand driven, what's simple with not many moving parts, and what's small. So I would think that this high pressure triple burner, that's going to be way too big unless it packs down real easy into some small box, but I doubt it's smaller than 18 inches. The small vertical boiler, that's probably out. That looks way bigger. And again, unless it packs small in some box, it's smaller than 18 inches, but this piece alone looks like it's bigger. I imagine this is out. These are in Spanish, Cazo, Maverick, and stainless steel concave Comal. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what that is. What you could do is see exactly how somebody would search for these and check them out on Amazon. So what I did was I checked a few of these. Some of them worked and some didn't, but let me show you 3 that did and show you how easy it is to do this. So I did meat grinder. So I just took the term meat grinder. All right. Let me do this. And I did meat grinder first, and I brought up, let me show you exactly what I did here. So I typed in meat grinder into Amazon, and it brought up a bunch of electronic ones or a lot of electric ones. I'm not looking for electric. I want ones that look like this. And so I thought, how would somebody search for one that's manual? So I started typing in meat grinder manual. And then as soon as I typed in the M, Amazon suggested manual stainless steel. So I clicked that. And I look at the pictures. I think, okay, yeah, those are similar to the one that's on the site here. They look a little bit different as far as the finish on them. And this looks like it might be more of a bronzy finish. But it's okay. We're not comparing exact items. We're thinking about meat grinder, stainless steel, the keyword, okay? And we're validating that. And so let me show you. Let's see if I have scope. Yeah, here we go. All right, so here's scope. This is totally free. There's actually an extension on the top of this that Abe and I's friend John Paul Jones created. This is really, really, really cool. That helps you determine really fast whether item passes or fails. But let me show you. If you don't have this extension, I can give you the link. But in the top, I just looked at the top 10. What's that?
I never get tired of looking at your.
I know it's the face. I like it when it passes. The frown face happens if it doesn't pass. So you look at the top 10. So let me just show you really quickly. You do this one time, and you guys can see that it passes. But let me show you how to do the demand test. So it passes the first of the 3 steps. We know that it's generic, non-brand driven. We know that I think it's going to be small. I think it's less than 18 inches. And then it's simple with not many moving parts. Okay, so it passes those 3. What we don't know is there enough sales for it, and is it too competitive or not? So what we look at for the demand test, we look at the estimated sales column. These are monthly sales figures, estimates, and we add up each number, 120 plus 389 plus 44 plus 165, all the way down to number 10. We want that number to add up to at least 750. And this totally does. You can eyeball this and see that it does. But the exact number, because of this extension, is 1,994. All right, so it passes the demand test. The last test is the competition test. Is it too competitive or not? So we look at the top 10 listings again. We look at the reviews column. We want to see 3 or 4 listings with less than 50 reviews. And what's cool about the extension is that it highlights these. So it tells you that there's 4 right here, and there's 11, 2, 9, and this last one has 30. So this passes, and it tells you it passes. And so this would be one that you could source directly from the Ceceroware company. I wouldn't buy 50. I'd probably buy 10 or 20. Abe might go in and buy 100 right away. He'd probably do some more validation on the front end, and that's okay. But just getting started, at least you want it to pass the 5-step test. So that's the meat grinder. The other one that I found was this tortilla maker, okay? So I went on to Amazon and typed in, I think I actually typed in tortilla press, because here's what I did. I typed in tortilla, and Amazon is suggesting tortilla press, okay? And it's this box right here is the Amazon suggested search terms box, and it's trying to guess what I'm looking for. So it's serving up all these popular products, popular keywords that people are typing in, and it's saying, hey, are you looking for a maker? Are you looking for tortilla chips or a warmer? The very top one is tortilla press, so I clicked on that. I want to look through here and make sure that these products are similar to this one. Yep, it's similar. All right, and so then we just run, I'll do Jungle Scout this time. So Jungle Scout's the same as Scope, does the same exact thing. Jungle Scout is not free, however, but then the PPL extension that John Paul made works for Jungle Scout as well. Shows you that it passes. We got 8,324 sales in the top 10. 4 reviews that are less than 50. So that's another pass. Okay. And then lastly, the other one that I found was this corn grinder. And then I just went on to Amazon. I literally just typed in corn grinder. I looked through here. Yep. These all look like the same type of product. You can use Scope as well. I like Jungle Scout a lot too because it runs faster on my computer, but Scope is free, so we like free tools. And we got another one that passed. Now there were some on that page that didn't work, that didn't have enough demand, or had too little, or had too much competition. But these were, I just wanted to show you really quickly how you can do this. You literally just look at a product on a page, on a supplier page, and go back to Amazon, type in the keyword. It's the exact same thing, guys, that you would do for online arbitrage. You type in, you find a Fisher Price Walker or whatever. You would literally copy and paste that from one site, from the Toys R Us site, onto Amazon. It's the exact same thing we're doing for private label. It's just different set of parameters that we're using to make decisions. And so the corn grinder passes with 1,416 sales estimated per month, and 4 reviews out of the top 10 with less than 50 reviews, or 4 listings, less than 50 reviews. So this passes. So very quickly, guys, I found this in 5 minutes. 3 products: a meat grinder, a tortilla press, and a corn grinder. So Abe is awesome because he actually goes to ASD with a shopping list of things. So he would do research like this, or he'd probably have a VA do it. And so he'd have a list of products to be looking for. But now we've already shown you, now you got the supplier as well. And the last thing you would ask, so this is what you would do if you were going for private label purposes. You'd go to this company at ASD, walk up to their booth. Here's exactly what you ask them. You would say, can I take your meat grinder? Can I take your tortilla maker or your corn grinder? Can I take it out of your packaging and put it into my own and make it your own brand? That's the question. That's the magic question that we teach in the private label group. Can I take your product out of its packaging and put it into my own? And that's basically what we do. It's as simple as that. You can do this reverse sourcing with any wholesale company, with any supplier, any manufacturer. Think of the keywords that people are searching for, put those into Amazon, run Jungle Scout or Scope, and see if it passes. So anything to add to that, Abe, before I hand it over to you?
No, you got the magic question down.
All right.
I'm going to kind of approach it from a slightly different angle. So.
All right, yeah, Abe's got you know what that's cool, guys, about this is that Abe has a different method of doing this, but his results are just as good. And so it's just, whatever works for you. I'm showing you kind of like the easiest way to get in, to dip your toe in the water of private label and get it going, and how easy it is to find suppliers for products and how easy it is to validate it. And so just like everybody has a different method for RA and OA, there's different methods for private label. So I'll let Abe.
And also one of the things that I would add that, a lot of times, what I started doing, sourcing wholesale, especially at trade shows, was the sole purpose of like creating bundles, exclusive bundles, right? And doing kind of molded in Ryan's method, asking them to rebrand their products that already exist, and taking a complementary because we found a lot of items sometimes you can't hit those really good margins that you want to find. So creating a bundle allows you to get the margins that you're looking for. So always, think outside the box when you're going and doing this sort of sourcing, right? Don't ever be limited by just one method.
Right. Exactly.
All right. So I'm going to share, right?
Yes,
Here?
go for it. Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me just present. Okay. So here is a picture of Christy, my business partner. Last time we were at the show, and this is in front of Source Direct, right? So this is probably has evolved into my favorite place to source a trade show, because you have direct access to overseas manufacturers, which, in the progression of my business starting out, with Ryan's method and bundling, we kind of progressed into sourcing overseas, right, where you get your best margins, hands down, right? You can't really beat the pricing that you can get overseas. So this is a chance where the vendors come to you in a show like ASD, and we're able to talk to people directly from China, Korea, Mexico, Taiwan, Pakistan, India. China's not the only place to source overseas, right? You have all these other countries that you can source from. So they're all in Source Direct in one place. And it's a great opportunity to find really good products where you can get high margin selling on Amazon, right? So I'm going to go ahead and walk through a couple of different strategies when sourcing products at the show, because I do a lot of front-end research. I dig in before I go, but I'm also looking for products of opportunity. And then I'm looking to really build relationships. That's really the key to this, is meeting manufacturers. A lot of these manufacturers turn into sourcing agents, right? Which is what we found in how we built our sourcing team that we use now. So here is a screenshot of, Ryan mentioned he just went through the vendor list, right? So what I do is I go through that vendor list now and do what he just showed, reverse sourcing products, right? And I find companies like the one he just found that has products that work well. So you would, like he did, he turned that product into a keyword, validated that on Amazon, saw some nice discoveries up through that list. But then what I do is I don't wait for the show and then just walk up to him and be like, hey, can I remove all your packages, right? So what I do is I call them like right away, right now, a month before the show. And I use the fact that I'm going to the show as leverage, right? So you can see all these these are companies we actually did call the list maybe from a couple of years ago, but we did call all these companies, and you can see we put on the sheet, verbally confirmed, PL friendly. So that's someone that we talk to, and these conversations often evolve into other different opportunities as well. But we can get the minimum order quantities, we can be prepared so that we can take advantage. And a lot of them will give you the show discounts, as long as you are going to the show and they can prove that, right? So there's a lot of discounts that run into the show. But we also, want to know if they'll drop ship. Sometimes the bigger items, drop shippings. I don't do a lot of drop shipping. But I'm also not against selling larger, overweight items. Sometimes those have really great margins on Amazon because not a lot of competition there, right? So this is how we kind of build a list of vendors and start vetting them before the show. And you can tear down a lot of those conversation walls too, saying like, hey, I'm going to be at the show. Let's set up an appointment. Let's set up an account right now, and then set up an appointment at the show, and we can talk, business when we get there, kind of thing. Okay, so here is another really great asset about the show. So once you kind of find the vendors and you know who to target at the show, there's an app, right? The ASD Market Week app. You can download it from Google Play or iTunes or whatever you use, right? Now, as you can see, there's the different sections of the show, and of course, I like Source Direct, so I clicked on that one. It brings me to the list of vendors, and what you can do is star the vendors, and it tells you what booth they're located, right? And so doesn't the vendor list, so you can kind of make that comparison. And it'll even if you log into the website, it'll sync your app with the website, so you can actually do this on the website as well. Star the vendors you'd like to meet, and they go into your planner. Right, this is your show planner. So you can begin to create a list of vendors that you want to make sure that you stop by and talk to them. It's a huge show. And to say, oh, I'm going to find SL3231 on Tuesday afternoon, like that's going to be really difficult, right? You're going to be looking up at the ceiling trying to find signs and miss other opportunities, which I'll get into in a minute. But, have a map. It'll tell you exactly where the booth is in the show, and it'll be able to map it out for you. Very effective to plan ahead when you want to target specific vendors like this. Okay, so here's just some more what the app does, right? Here's some list of show specials from different vendors, let you know what kind of promotions they're running. Also, the networking, huge piece of this. There's an official party that you can go. There's different social events that you can attend where vendors are there, other sellers are there. It's pretty cool. And, for example, here's one, and then there's a notes section. So when you do say you meet a vendor and you want to kind of keep track of the information, you can keep track of the company, your contact, the email address. And, this one was offering licensed coffee mugs, ceramics, blankets, open to exclusive and custom orders. So that's a big deal. We want to remember who's going to give us exclusive deals, right? So it's good to kind of keep these notes in the app all in one place. The first time I went to the show, I used to walk around with a rolly bag and take brochures and carry like 300 pounds of stuff.
Now Christy does the rolling bag for you, doesn't she?
I think I've got her out of it. She does a big shoulder bag. But, then I went to kind of a little handheld notebook where I stapled business cards. Now I'm all into the app, right? I'll take business cards and do that. But for the most part, I keep track of everything on the app. It's just so much easier. Bring your phone, bring a backup battery pack, and you're good to go, right? So here is an example of a shopping list that we create pre-show, right? So what we do is we basically use whatever your favorite tool, reverse engineer Amazon, and build a big list of products that we know are good opportunities, high demand, low competition, products that we know we can sell. And at least that points us in the direction of different markets we want to target, right? We create a list of, bundling options with this too, because we don't want to just source one product. We want to source a few different products within a niche, because when you have access to wholesalers and manufacturers on site, you can get lists of their inventory, and you can look at several products related to one market and not just launch one private label, but several, right? So you want to basically make sure you have a lot of different opportunities. This was a list. Again, it was created some time ago. I'm sure you can see some of the keywords in here, so you may want to double check that. But okay, so that's like example of a shopping list. So these would be targets that we want to find. There's like 30 or so products on here that we would keep our eyes open for as we're walking around identifying opportunities to kind of pick up some of these items. Okay, so now huge piece of this. Now, as I've kind of gone to a lot of these trade shows, especially ASD, I think it's my 6th one or something. Opportunities at the show are huge. So what I'm looking for now is to notice the latest trends, right? So what I do is I walk around the show and just look for products that I don't know what it is, or I've never seen it before. It looks really cool. You always see the new trends at the trade shows, right? The newer products that haven't hit shelves yet. That's really what I'm looking for, right? The products that are yet to be so saturated on Amazon, right? There's so many products, you find there's 1,000 like it, a bunch of Me Too products, right? I mean, those are great, right? There's other opportunities there, bundles and things like that. But I'm looking to be first and to kind of grasp the new trends and to see what's coming up in different markets. So the products of opportunities are huge, right? So we can see these opportunities walking around. We can get wholesale catalogs, manufacturer catalogs, and you'll be able to say the general types of products, vendors sell, if they're into, different products, for example, cell phone cases, backpacks, flags, and see the type of products they sell so that when you see a new trend coming up, you have access to a manufacturer or a wholesaler for that type of item, right? So the other thing for products of opportunity is there's actually, on the phone, I'm ready to go with a few apps that'll help me do research on the fly, right? So you just saw Ryan do research with Scope, Amazon search bar and things like that. Well, you can access a few apps on on, at the show. And there's more you can access nowadays. I'm sure you could probably do Scope or Jungle Scout or one of those. But really the easiest ones are the Amazon mobile app. Merchant Words has a really, you can kind of check the demand of something, of a keyword or something like that when you find a product of opportunity. And of course, Viral Launch Market Intelligence is my favorite market intelligence tool. And it gives me all the data that I need to kind of validate a product. So here's just a couple of screenshots of, I kind of go through a sequence of, okay, threw in a keyword, waitress, found a waitress book, pulled up Merchant Words. This is all on the app, right? These are screenshots from my phone. And then this was me validating the product on Market Intelligence, kind of looking at all the market data, reverse sourcing Amazon kind of thing. So you can do that on the fly at the show for these products of opportunities that you find. And, I'm really looking for those new trends that don't have a lot of products. Under 100 products on Amazon is really the nice target that I like to look for. The lower, the better. So here's the other thing I do. Another way to target the show is to leverage the knowledge that we all have selling on Amazon. We are in some way, shape, or form all experts at Amazon if we've had any sort of success, right? I mean, even if you aren't like the hugest seller out there, you still know more than probably 90% of all these vendors that are out there wholesaling and trying to, stumble their way onto Amazon and follow the rush of online selling, right? So we like to leverage this when we're talking to them, especially if they say we don't sell to Amazon sellers. That is my favorite response.
Right.
Right. And I'll tell you a story in a minute, but just real quick, you want to ask them questions about their business, right? Talk about the techniques that you've learned, all the trainings that you take. Things, right? Keywords and all this other stuff, right? You want to try and partner up with other Amazon sellers at the show and kind of, sometimes it's pretty powerful if you walk into, a wholesale booth and begin talking to the vendor and you're like, oh, hey, I know a few other business owners that are here in our group and, that are friends of ours. Let's give you some more customers. So, you kind of bring value to the table that way as well. Kind of tag team a booth. It works really well. Done that for years. So you also, so the last part was the special Facebook group. But obviously leverage the Facebook groups that we're on, right? My Silent Team, PPL group, whichever, all these Facebook groups we spend so much time in that definitely takes up how many hours do you procrastinate on Facebook groups during the day, right? We'll leverage some of these groups, connect with people, meet up with them at shows like ASD, and, attack the show with a partner. It's huge. Mm-hmm. So here's an email just to show you some things that we've done. This was an email where I walked in. So just to share a little bit of a story, I walked into a booth and I said, hey, really like your product, want to take it out of your package, put it in mine, sell it on Amazon, the whole thing. And he was like, oh, well, I already sell on Amazon. And I was like, and so as he's telling me this, I'm on my phone looking up his product on Amazon. Right away, I could see that, it needed work. The listing wasn't great. And the first thing I showed him was, I was like, hey, I could give you a lot of tips to help you with this product. And, I just went through the motions of how we target different keywords and sponsored ads and how he wasn't optimized for mobile. And I showed him why. And he was just kind of blown away, right? So a couple days after the show, I said, hey, let's work together. And of course, he wanted me to represent him exclusively on Amazon and sell his products for him. So, you can find these big, opportunities at the show by just, talking to the vendors, connecting with them, learning about their business and bringing some value to the table. So it doesn't end in just buying products, right? Partnerships are so powerful. I mean, you've definitely seen it in the trainings. I mean, we're talking about 100% return on investment, no upfront costs. You get paid a percentage of working with different products and brands on Amazon. It's very lucrative part of the business. So just getting into China sourcing, right? Because we're going into Source Direct a lot. I wanted to just kind of take some, give you some tips when sourcing in China, some things you can do. Because really, the goal for me at a trade show is I'm looking for these products of opportunity. I'm looking for all these ideas, and I'm not really going to buy anything there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to search the world for the best margins that I can get on that product, right? So I don't care if that's China, Taiwan, India, it doesn't matter. Wherever I can find that product for the best margin, I'm going to figure out a way to get that and sell it on Amazon and, you know, build a brand, right? So that's really the goal here. So I just wanted to give you some tips when you are kind of validating products on Amazon and when you're searching, you know, certain products, some ways you can cross-check manufacturers that you may find on like these sites like Alibaba and things like that. So one thing, this is a really cool map that I found online, and it just because in China, certain types of products are manufactured in certain provinces of China, right? Mostly along this, you know, eastern coast here. So what you can do is like when you're going to look for manufacturers, you can kind of cross-reference their address with the type of products they sell and make sure they're in the area that kind of manufactures those types of products in China. Just a nice little way to kind of background check, just a little quick little overview, right? So here is a screenshot of Alibaba. So I kind of walked through some ways that you can, you know, quickly validate some of the products. Now this product actually was a product that I saw at SourceDirect at ASD whenever the time I made this slide, and it's probably a year ago or so. And these products were not yet like the incredible product, you know. And if you saw this Q4, I mean, there were a few sellers doing $1 million on this product, right? On this one product. So these magnetic block sets just blew up huge. So this is, you know, for example, I would find this product at SourceDirect. You know, you could talk to the manufacturer or maybe as a trading company that's there at SourceDirect. But I'm going to also do, you know, I'll get his contact information, but also do my due diligence because you also never want to find one manufacturer. You want to have a few different manufacturers, you know, to have sort of backup plans, right? So a few things that I check off are, you know, you can check off trade assurance, gold supplier, assessed supplier, right? Mm-hmm. You know, there's like a lot of buzz out there whether how accurate like those actually are. You know, there's some say people pay to have that sort of verification, right? Instead, it's not really super accurate, but there are some other ways that you can cross-check. So one thing I do is all countries and regions, I always pick mainland China just to kind of make, you know, so we can kind of cross-reference companies that are on mainland China because we're going to check some other sites in order to kind of make sure their address is correct, right? And the thing you got to think about Alibaba is it's not like, you know, it's not like an e-commerce site. I think of it like the Yellow Pages, right? Now, if you were to go and get a construction company from the Yellow Pages, you'd probably get 2 or 3 and check references and background checks and that sort of thing before you let them into your home and knock down walls, right? So it's the same sort of thing. Alibaba's like the Yellow Pages, and we're going to look. There are a lot of other business-to-business sites like Alibaba that we can cross-check, you know, some of the data that we find. So one thing that I look for, again, the region that their company is, and now this one lists a manufacturer or trading company, right? You know, it could just be a trading company representing, you know, manufacturers. So they kind of like a middleman, like a broker between the manufacturer and you, right? So that's what a trading company is. Kind of like a middleman, just like a wholesaler in the U.S., right? But we'll cross-reference a company, location, and also I look at the total employees. Now, the more employees, the bigger the manufacturer, right? Mm-hmm. I usually look from over 250 employees could usually tell me that they're probably a manufacturer, most likely, right? So here's one company, and just to check, and I did one more, and this one was in a different region of China and 300 to 500 employees, right? So this tells me that this company is probably more likely a manufacturer. And you also want to, on that map, like you can go back and check that region of China and see if that's where like toys or magnets are manufactured, something related to this type of product, right? So here's another site that we can cross-reference. And I actually met this company at ASD as well. They have a booth there. And I met a rep and, get emails from her all the time. So there's another way that you can kind of cross-reference where the company is located. So, this company has it lists an address as well. So you can kind of make sure the address line up, or at least the region they're located in. And you can check to see, if they're listed on this company and if the information is accurate, right? So that was that company with the 250 to 500 or so employees. And this other one wasn't listed on this. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're not like a reputable company. It's just that they weren't listed on this site. But it just gives you an idea of how you can cross-check, and you can Google, sites like Alibaba.com, and you probably get a list of like 10 other ones that you can cross-reference different manufacturers on. Actually, one of my favorites is globalmarket.com, because they boast that there's 0 trading companies on that site, only manufacturers. Okay, so the other thing is to leverage a sourcing agent, right? So there's different kind of tiers of sourcing agents. So we started with someone who's essentially like a VA on the ground in China, right? Now, they speak the language, they speak Chinese language, right? So that kind of cuts that barrier down. They'll vet suppliers for you. They can test product samples for you and send you a video. We have a WhatsApp chat set up with ours, who would take videos of samples and test them for us, right? You can have them. Now, this is really cool, because when I started doing private label EasyWay, I kept running into a wall, like couldn't find the product in the U.S., struggled to find it in the U.S., or couldn't find the margins, and I just was on this never-ending loop of like, I would find some, but some didn't work out, right? So you either go back to the drawing board or figure out a way to source in China. So I didn't have huge amounts of capital to order thousands of products, right? So what we started doing is to kind of tiptoe into the overseas market is we had our sourcing agent order from local e-com sites in China, like 1688, Taobao. There's also HC360, and there's, these are like e-commerce sites that have super low costs. So what we do is just say, hey, order 100 units. She would have them shipped to her. She'd package them up or bundle them however we wanted to. And then she'd go to DHL Express and ship it for us right to Amazon, right? Or to us, either one. But that was huge. That was like, we could test products from China at incredible margins and kind of like get past those high minimums if that's what you need to do, right? So also, of course, the sourcing agents can negotiate pricing and minimum order quantities on your behalf and things like that. So to get one of these agents, you just go to Upwork.com, right? Mm-hmm. I don't have a slide for this, and post a job and just detail exactly what I just said, and that you want to try this method. And I'm telling you, you'll find one, and you can make it work, right? So China the easy way. There you go.
That's right.
Okay. And I think, is that my last slide? Yes. Okay. So that's my last slide. That's awesome. All I have. So I guess
that's good stuff.
I don't know if I left anything
a little China sourcing whole course right there. That was beautiful. Yeah. So guys, the Source Direct is a whole separate section of ASD. Let me show you. I'll go back to my slides here real quick and we'll wrap up here. Oh, real quick, Abe, while I'm doing that, Michael Matlock's asking, so you mentioned, I was busy answering questions here. There was a site for just manufacturers that you mentioned?
Yeah, it's called globalmarket.com. I'll be honest, I've never ordered anything from them, like from a manufacturer found there. But just to give you another example of a site that's just like Alibaba, and they boast no trading companies. So definitely something I'm looking more and more into.
Globalmarket.com. Cool. Yeah, so Abe was just talking about Source Direct. If you look back here, right here, it says Source Direct. It's on the South Hall lower level at the very, very back. You're meeting with representatives of factories from all over the world, lots of them from China. And so that's just a different, you're going to usually have higher minimums there. And so that's why we talk about in the private label group where we just said now that Abe does it a different way. And so Jenny and I usually teach starting small, starting with wholesale companies, buying a case to start with. Abe's been doing this a while, and so he's totally comfortable with he does lots of validation on the front end. So he's totally comfortable with going to a company that he meets at Source Direct and ordering 500. And so, because he's just done so much testing at the beginning, he's done this so many times now. He's got his parameters really dialed in. So here's ASD. It's huge. Basically, guys, I want to tell you how you can, if you're interested in going, if you want to go this time, Abe and I are going to both be there. It's crazy overwhelming. If you've ever been to a huge trade show like this, you just know. You walk in and your mouth just jaws open up like, wow, where do I start? Where do I go? So you guys can hire a tour guide essentially. So here's our team. Of course, there's Abe and myself here. You may not know these guys here, but Stephen Hibbert is one of our stars of the private label mentoring program. He knows a ton about merch, but he was on my he's certified to do tours as well. Was on the last ASD walkthrough that I did back in August. This is Gary Rosing. This is Jenny Hunt's dad. Also went through the walkthrough last time with me and is certified by me personally. And so, guys, the reason I have added a couple guys here to the team than before is because I've always had to say no to folks. We always close up. So I've done tours on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and I've always filled them up, and I don't want to turn anybody away. So that's why we're expanding, adding people to the team to lead other groups. And so that's why they're here. Of course, Abe is now, he's always goes to ASD, but now he's going to do a Source Direct walkthrough. So he's going to show you how to walk through Source Direct, how to talk to suppliers, because it's a little bit different. The magic question to them doesn't mean anything. They assume that you're going to do private label. That's what that's just the way it is. And so it's just a little different way to talk to them. You talk to them, they're going to say, 3,000 units to start. Abe would not like to usually start with that many. So he's got ways to get those numbers down and just ways to build a relationship with them. So there's our team. So let me tell you guys what you get if you decide to join us. ASD is March 11th through the 14th. That's a Sunday through a Wednesday. We're doing tours on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. I have one spot left right now for my Sunday walkthrough. And we got spots on Monday and Tuesday available. I will be around Monday and Tuesday on all the groups. I just have Stephen and Gary leading some of them, but I will be popping back and forth between them, and will also be at the lunch. So here's what, if you decide to join us, you get 7 hours in a small group training environment. We'll start at 9, go till about 4, with an hour break in there for lunch. Lunch is provided by us. After doing this, guys, you'll be set for trade shows. You're going to have the confidence to know how to approach vendors for future events. You're going to know what to say to them, especially what to say to a wholesale vendor for private label, how to ask them the magic question. If you go through it with Abe, you're going to learn how to talk to factories. We're going to have a networking lunch. We have a separate room reserved, a quiet room, or just all of us get together that are on the walkthrough that day. We're going to give you a list of the vetted suppliers from the walkthrough time that we talked to. And so we're going to actually show you the thank you page here in a second. Abe added a lot of stuff since we did this webinar last, but he's got videos on there. He'll explain that. Supplier email templates. This is really, really cool. Save you a lot of time. Additional supplier leads that we're going to give you. Abe's listing template. So he's known in our private label group as the master of creating Amazon listings. And so he has a template that makes it very easy to put together a very, very good Amazon listing. So you're going to get access to that. We're going to do an ASD rabbit trail webinar beforehand. So if you've not been on a rabbit trail that Jenny and I do, essentially we show you how to very quickly find lots of private label leads. And so what you would do with that is you would come in to ASD essentially with a potential shopping list. And you could go through and you could actually do research in advance and find suppliers in advance if you wanted to, or you could just kind of have those items in the back of your mind and be looking for them as we're walking around. And then we're also going to do a pre-ASD prep webinar that is just basically how to some of the practical stuff, what to bring, how to just be prepared to go to a trade show, some of the upfront research that you can do. Guys, it's everything that you need to be successful. And that's I got a different link I want to post here for you guys. But everything you need to be successful for ASD is going to be there. Let's go to let me post the link here real quick, and I'll go to the thank you page. Actually, I'll do the thank you page first, Abe, and then I'll post the link for them. Yeah. Here we go. In case you guys want to join us, it's going to be fun. We always have a blast. All right.
Okay.
So this is behind the scenes of the thank you page. I'll let Abe go through this and explain what you guys get.
Yeah, you'll have to do the scrolling.
Yeah.
So just a little background. Last 2 shows, we did a special Facebook group webinar series. Tons of tons of different documents and files that we gave to the group. And after doing 5 webinars the last time around, we were like, okay, do we do this again? Is there any way we could really top what we just did, right? I mean, yeah, we could make some updates and things like that, but we couldn't feel like we could do any better, Christy and I, who did the training. So we just said, you know what, let's just discount the price insanely, drop it 70% and just give it as, give the recordings and a bunch of new content that we can put in here. So what you have here is anyone who's doing the walkthrough gets access to this, is 5 webinars, right? So the five-part webinar series that we did, basically it was 5 weeks. Actually, it's 6 videos, 5 webinars, walks you through finding leads, sourcing products in all the ways that I mentioned, what to do after you've discovered some products, how to get those products to sell, and different tricks and tools that we use to move our products onto Amazon, everything from creating listings to, sponsored ads and things like that. So, so if you scroll down, Ryan, I just want to, there's the last video. It's the 6th or 7th video on this, right? Okay, so that last one, I created this specifically for this thank you page. Now, I've gotten really good at running sponsored ads, product after product after product. So this is a tutorial video of exactly what I do with this, search term report. So what I did is I created a PDF. It's about 10 pages long. It's my exact process of how I walk through an Amazon sponsored ad campaign, start to finish, how to refine the campaign. And I added this bonus video to show you how to walk through a search term report, how I find the profitable keywords and remove the ones that are not profitable. So this is a very simple process, but it's really a big deal when you're trying to optimize a report. A lot of people don't read their search term reports. They just kind of neglect it, and it's probably the most important piece of running an ad campaign. So you get that in here. So what I do is I have my listing template, which you can see there. We also have a pre-ASD email template. If you want to email vendors, if you're not a caller, you feel uncomfortable calling, you can email them. I also have an email follow-up template, so what to do after you meet these vendors, after the show. So also have an email template if you did not attend, right? So maybe you didn't go to the show, but you still want to leverage it. You can use this sort of this template, right? Also, we have a list of questions to ask wholesale reps. So, if you don't know the lingo, what to say, minimum order quantities, all these, what's keystone pricing, all these things. I have a list of questions that you can ask, including Ryan's magic question, as far as how to dialogue with them. And so you can kind of learn all the information, right? So private label vendor list. So this is our list of over 720 US and Canada private label friendly wholesalers, right? There's the list. These are all the ones that are okay with private labels, 720 or more of these, right? Next is my Amazon PPC quick guide, and it says with video because this video is there's also a link to that video in there. And also I threw in some links to some tools that we've built in-house for our business that you will have access to for free. So also I have all 5 or 6 webinar slides in there. I think this was at 5, right? So what's after that? Let's see. Is there any more? I think there was like 14 files altogether. Okay. Business information template. Guys, this is, we like to over deliver. Like, there's no question about that. Okay. So the business information template, this is really key because when I'm on the phone with the wholesale vendor and I'm talking to them, whatever, and I'm saying, hey, let's set up an account. Guess what? I just emailed you all of my information. So this is a template with all, you don't have to fill out everything on the sheet, but it's kind of what like the most extreme things they ask for to the most, the simplest things like reseller license, EIN number, company address, things like that. So there's a template for all that, right? So you can fill this information out and be like, hey, just emailed you my information. Let's get this going now. Waste no time setting up accounts. Okay, so also my end-to-end data mining research templates. This is like keyword collection, the product builder, how we develop the product and decide how to make improvements, what colors, fabrics, all these different details that we go through on the sheet. Different ways we organize keywords into the listing. Some links to tools in there that you can use to help your listing creation go well. So from my strategy goes finding a good product, high demand, low competition, finding a ton of keywords related to that, optimizing your listing with all those keywords, and then allowing Amazon to track those keywords in our ad strategy, right? Sponsored ad strategy. Mm-hmm. So that template allows you to walk through that process in a 10-sheet template. It probably will be overwhelming for a lot, but it's very effective, and it's exactly what we use for our business. Is there any more? Did I miss anything?
I think that's it. But guys, I need to point out too that this Amazon PPC quick guide with video, that right there alone is worth the whole investment, because that is so good. This is in our private label group. He shared it in our private label group, and it's just amazing. It's a whole how to do Amazon PPC in one document. So that's just really good. Well worth it right there. So yeah, let me guys. And so if you guys are interested in joining, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and it's how I do PPC, yes. Right? So you're going to see there's a lot of PPC strategies out there. They're all good. That's how I do mine. So a lot of people ask like, hey, how do you do PPC? How do you get your products to sell? I'm always asked, coaching, from coaching to the group to everything. That's my exact method, start to finish.
Yep. All right. So guys, if you're interested in doing this, let me show you here's the page. Here's the link. Let me post it in Zoom and in Facebook if you want to join us. All right, so let me go over the sales page real quick, and then so let me explain this. So these are all the benefits we talked about: 7 hours, 9 to 4, all the stuff that you get. You just saw the back end of it. Here's the team testimonials. So I have one spot left on Sunday. This is right here. We have some spots available on Monday and Tuesday. We've already announced this in our private label group. That's why we've already sold a lot. But we have spots available on Monday and Tuesday with Stephen or Gary. Guys, I will be there. I will be at in both of the groups, just bouncing back and forth, and I will be at lunch. So $497 for Monday or Tuesday with Gary or Stephen and myself. Abe's Source Direct is right here. It's $597 for the whole day with Abe and lunch. And then we also have a video template list package. So if you just want just the templates and all the videos that Abe talked about, and you're not able to go to ASD, it's $97 right there. The link is privatelabel.com/ASDMST. And that is Jim's special link for this stuff. So guys, that is it. See if we got questions here.
And by the way, I haven't announced this yet, but what I'll probably do is for everyone that signs up for my Source Direct walkthrough, I'll probably have a private mastermind webinar meeting before, maybe like a week before the show or so we can, once everyone's kind of signed up and ready to go, I'll reach out to everybody and get that set up so we can kind of mastermind the show before we get there and get set up and get the plan going.
Yeah. Cool. See if there's anything else we got in the group.
Any questions?
Yeah, I think that's it. I've been answering a ton while you were.
Okay.
Okay, so we got here's some hours. So Michael, we have people that joined us last year and decided that they had. The very first time I did this, I had several people that left like around noon because they were tired of walking and they had gotten value out of it and decided, hey, this is awesome, but I want to bow out. That was totally fine. Didn't hurt my feelings anyway. So you don't have to stick around the whole day. If you get your value out of it after a few hours, that's totally cool. But we will be going from 9 to 4.
Yeah.
Same price either way. Yes, sir. Abe Ming's asking about, do you think it's super important, required to have reviews before launching PPC ads?
No, you can do it without it. I always launch PPC in the beginning, especially even because it's crucial in the first couple of weeks to start collecting that data and realizing how you want to retarget your product. It is good to get one review, maybe a couple. Getting those stars up there looks pretty cool. It definitely helps conversion for sure. But you don't need a review before you start PPC. I always start it right away.
Okay. Awesome.
And I think I forgot to mention, my sourcing team has a booth at ASD. So coming through SourceDirect with me, I'll introduce you to the team, and you can talk to them, ask any questions about logistics and things like that, and you can even they'll be all around. They'll probably be coming up to lunch with us and things like that too. So you'll be able to meet all the contacts that I have.
Let's see. Shelly's asking to see Callan. He just went to bed. My wife put him to bed just a couple minutes ago. I'm so sorry. I know he's a hit. Vetted suppliers. Gene, I don't know. Last year, trying to think if we did. You'll still get access to a huge list, but it wouldn't be the same ones that the people who go get. So the people that go get access to the ones that we visit. But in the video, on the thank you page that we just showed, there's still a long list that I think, was it 700? Did you say that was 700 and some? I think on this I think so.
Yeah, there's like 728 or
728 private label suppliers that you guys get access to.
Yeah.
If you do the notice.
Yeah, and we had our VAs go through that list and add links for everyone that they could find. So it's you can do a control find search by category.
Yeah.
Follow the link, check out the products. I mean, it's a nice little organized list, and so you don't have to dig into the new ASD vendor. Some of them aren't on the ASD vendor list because it was accumulated over a course of a few different shows.
Right. Kim, how many people are in the group for the day? Great question. 8 to 9. I don't like to have any more than 8 or 9 in a group, just because you walk around and go into vendor booths and it just gets way too many. I want to make sure that I can serve everybody and answer all questions. You get more than 9 people plus me, it's just too much. So especially since we're doing it with Gary and Steven, they're going to have groups and I'm going to be going back and forth. That's me being another person. That just gets too many. So we keep it at 8 to 9. Same thing for Abe's SourceDirect walkthrough. Wendy's asking, she's just starting out and have no idea what kind of product. Is this something I would or should figure out before attending if I do? So you can get 2 different answers. Abe may say, yeah, you might want to go and have a list. That's fine too. I think it's okay to go and just kind of walk around and get ideas because you're going to walk out with so many potential ideas. Abe, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, so the first time I went to the show, I was fairly new, and I had a good friend, Adrian Friday, that kind of like took me under his wing and walked me around the show. And I just remember being really excited about like just taking in the industry that we're in, right? To see it start to finish, from the vendors to the manufacturers, seeing all the products, like the vastness of everything out there. It was just really cool. All the business services. It was just really cool to be in that world, and you kind of like sit there and be like, wow, okay, I'm an entrepreneur. Let's do this. You kind of walk the show and just see the industry from like the core, from like the bottom up, and just make those contacts. I met a lot of really cool people. That first time I didn't know a lot of people in the industry, and I met a lot of like influencers there. And, there's conferences you can attend. There's conference rooms, right? So you can go and actually watch people speak and learn things like it was any other conference, right? And the show's free. So I think it's totally worth it. But
yeah. Okay, so people are asking about the TB Focus. They want to make sure that this is the right website. I'll post it here. Is it this one right here, Abe?
Are you? Oh yeah, yeah. So
It was early. You mentioned this earlier. They just wanted to make sure they had the right URL. The Toa Boa.
So. Yeah, that works. It looks like it's made by the same company.
Okay. All right. So tbfocus.com. Okay. Cool. All right. Post that there. Is there going to be a general meetup party where all the pack people meet up? Sometimes there is. I mean, there's several different. We have people that I think Andy Slammons always does something. Robin Johnson always does something. Abe, are you aware of anything else that's happening?
No, not at the moment. I mean, I haven't really talked to everybody for like the events that are going on.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, Robin usually has something, and there's a lot of meetups that happen. Everybody kind of connects and meets up somewhere. So there's always something cool going on.
Yep. Awesome. I think that's all we got here. See if there's any other questions. Guys, feel free to continue to posting questions in the Facebook group. We will get to them and answer them even after the webinar is over. So it's already a quarter after. We don't want to keep you longer than this. I thought it might even be shorter than this, but this is some great content. Thanks, Abe, for joining me, helping out with this.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming, Wendy. I totally understand. So feel free to ask questions. Guys, we're in the MST group. Especially tag us, especially if you ask something. Make sure that we see that. So, guys, we appreciate you. Thanks for, as Jim says, you guys are all business building warriors. It's an honor to serve this group. This is the greatest place on the internet to learn how to start and run a business. And so just commend all of you for jumping in and doing it. Guys, you can do this. If private label is something that you want to do for 2018, consider the strategies we talked about tonight. There's so many different ways to do private label and so many ways to find potential products and find potential suppliers. This is just one of many. And if you guys are if you have the Proven Amazon course, there's a whole section on PPL 2.0, Proven Private Label 2.0. All the videos and the lessons content is in there, but we're actually getting ready to update that. Because some of it even though it's just not that old, is already outdated because Amazon changes so much. But guys, we're honored to be able to bring this content to you. It's really, really good. And you should definitely be able, even if you don't go to ASD, you can sit at home in your pajamas and source from trade shows. So yeah, do it. And we're here to help.
I'm in my pajamas right now.
That's right. Nothing wrong with that.
That's how I work all day, actually.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. Guys, thanks so much. We'll let you have your evening. Enjoy your families, and we'll see you guys in the groups. Thanks, Abe.
Good night, guys.
Right, bye.